Nintendo, aka Pokemon, just sued Palworld for patent infringement. I'm going to try to cover everything as concise as I can and bring forth all the information that I could gather, as well as kind of like give some insight on how strong Pokemon's case actually is and how overall I think it's a win-win for them, regardless of how the lawsuit actually proceeds. Now, before we get into the meat of it, something to make very, very clear is that Nintendo is not suing Palworld because of the characters looking alike. You cannot patent art. That would fall more under copyright laws. And as you heard, they're not filing for copyright infringement. They're doing patent infringement. Those two are very, very different things. This means that Nintendo knew they had no jurisdiction to sue them for that reason, so they decided to sue over game mechanics instead. Now, this is where it gets very, very interesting, and I'm going to pull up a tweet by Chibi Reviews saying, apparently this is one of the patents Nintendo was using to go after Palworld, aka an object throwing mechanic. They also have another patent on mounting something that can fly. I'm no lawyer, but the fact that this was filed in 2024 shows pure pettiness from Nintendo / Pokemon. And Chibi is absolutely correct, because if you look at the filing date on the throwing mechanic, you'll see that it was May 2nd. Mind you, Palworld was released in January 19th of 2024, long before the patent was filed. This means that Nintendo saw how successful Palworld was and decided to patent the mechanic after the game was already released. So in terms of the lawsuit, this right here gives Palworld a good defense, because if you just look at objectively, it's not Palworld's fault that they used a similar mechanic in a game before it was filed as a patent. That's the same thing as if the US raised the age of consent to 19 and everyone who went against the new law would now be labeled as a criminal. It's a very extreme example, but it's kind of like the same logic. The problem arises though after the new law / patent is activated, which it was recently approved. Although Palworld didn't go against the patent at the time, if they continue to use the same mechanics, Pokemon is still going to have unfortunately a case in this lawsuit. This is why Nintendo's actions are so slimy and unfortunately smart. No matter how the lawsuit goes and no matter what they get out of it, it's going to jeopardize the future of Palworld as well as the future of other indie games that wanted to use the similar mechanic. It's a win-win for Nintendo. Even if they get no money out of it, Palworld would now legally need to make changes if the mechanics are found to infringe on the patent. Something else to make very, very clear is that we still don't know what patents Nintendo is alleging were infringed upon. But seeing how they filed multiple game mechanic patents after the launch of Palworld, it's safe to assume they intend to use that in some way to build a case or prevent other people from using the mechanic in the future. However, we still don't know if Palworld is actually infringing on the patent so far, because Nintendo doesn't want to say anything. This was a tweet from the Palworld official Twitter. Regarding the lawsuit, yesterday a lawsuit was filed against our company for patent infringement. We have received notice of this lawsuit and will begin the appropriate legal proceedings and investigations into the claims of patent infringement. At the moment, we are not unaware of the specific patents we are accused of infringing upon, and we have not been notified of such details. And they basically go on to say that they're happy that so many people are enjoying the game and that it's unfortunate that now their priority has shifted from improving the game to attending to the lawsuit. In my personal opinion, and this is just coming from me, it's not tied to any of the legalities of the situation, but I just really hate to see this. It's very unfortunate, not only because it jeopardizes the future of Palworld, but so many other indie games in the future as well. Nintendo is so litigious, it honestly makes me want to vomit. Instead of improving their games, they just decide to take down the competition with them in the most slimy and most vile way possible, like filing for vague patents after a game was already released. And the main issue throughout the whole situation is how the hell were these patents even allowed to be approved? This is ridiculous. Do you mean to tell me that throwing an object that captures another object can be patented? This is the most ridiculous abuse of patent laws I have ever seen. In my opinion, of course. Don't freaking sue me, Nintendo. This should have never been approved. It's way too vague, and honestly, I think that there needs to be heavy laws against trying to patent game mechanics. Look at Fortnite and CSGO. CSGO has way more reasons to sue Fortnite than this shit, if they had ownership of the game mechanics, of course. But I personally believe if this same patent was filed in America, it would have never been approved. Because again, you have to remind yourself that both Palworld and Nintendo are based in Japan. And I'm just gonna say it, Japan's laws on patents are dumb as hell. The court system over there is so one-sided that it's almost impossible to win a case if you copy an existing patent even remotely. If you have one, more likely than not, you're just gonna win the case. Anyway, that's pretty much all you have to know. Unfortunately, I think Nintendo was gonna win the overall war because those patents were approved. It's a very, very sad situation, but all we can do now is just wait for updates regarding it, and I'll make sure to keep you guys filled in. Pause. Anyway, hope you guys have an amazing day, and I'll see you later, weebs.
せーのでもそんなんじゃダメもうそんなんじゃほら心は進化するよもっと